You're listening to Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. I'm Kurt Hendel, a battle-tested security architect with a zero-trust worldview, coming at you from the future with the magic of editing to give our past episodes a proper introduction. And with me, as always, is my friend Cameron Walters, the AppSec and DevSecOps builder trying to automate the world. We turn real-world security chaos into conversations that actually matter. So grab your coffee. Let's travel back in time to the original recording. Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec starts now. Cameron, what's going on? A little out of breath because you made me go change my shirt, but we're back.
Well, I mean, if you wore the proper shirt and showed up to this, on time and in the proper attire, we could,
Well, no, stop right there. I was here before you for one, and I didn't know we had a dress code. But let's get back to why we're here. So we're back with another episode of Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. We're doing episode 2, and we're talking about passion projects. What gets us fired up about ProdSec, not AppSec, ProdSec.
you're thinking too much AppSec, dude. That's fine. I'm
That's your
bleeding
fault.
into you now, and you're starting to think about it.
NPM and the rest of it this week. You driving me
Oh,
crazy at work.
yeah, yeah. Well, we can talk about that. That was an interesting one. I mean, it's a crazy attack vector with zero payout, which I think is the most interesting part. It was kind of like the other attack vector that happened. What was it? Is it NX? The one that where the hacker
Oh,
compromised, like
yeah.
was contributing for months into this open source package. So if people don't know, all software is practically built upon open source packages. And so open source packages are packages, it's like people write code and it's free. And so companies all use that because it allows them to essentially ship their product faster, right? If you can already use something that's maintained by somebody else, it's free, right? And so they just do that. And the problem is that all modern companies use open source packages. And so there's this like if you have to think about it, like back in the day, like when you were an animal, right? Zebras and lions wait for the watering hole and for your bunny or your something to come and they attack, and that's the same thing that's happening now today for layman's terms. I'm bringing it back, and I'm not comparing it to the
We're all
door again,
animals, man.
not bringing it back to the door in my
Always the
analogy.
door or
It's
a
always the
window.
door
Now it's a
window.
watering hole.
Yeah, it's now it's a
I
watering
like
hole.
it. It's
uh,
different.
but
It's a
yeah,
little
so
ancient.
it was crazy. That whole attack vector was crazy. It was a all hands on deck. Check this thing out. It was a very interesting attack vector, and I think they only got like $20. I think it's coming out like 20, $30. I think $20 is confirmed because they can see in the crypto package exchange, because it was all crypto that they got, and it's like 20 or $50 now. I don't know. I haven't checked what the latest numbers are, but all that
Well, it
work
was worth
for
it.
$20. Dude, they could have installed like a ransomware or a crypto miner or
Yeah.
anything else, and instead you have like this very obvious attack. I don't know. It's very
I
interesting.
think this one was interesting though too because the open source community responded so fast. Like I think I was watching the chat because you guys were clearly on it, and I think it was a matter of just a couple of hours where you're like, well, we can already scan for this. We're good to go. It's not in any of our software, and we're essentially like we're safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
mean,
was great.
the guy who got owned, right? He knew very quick he got owned, right? He was like, I
Yeah.
clicked on phishing, everything showed that, and he quickly posted on, Reddit or somewhere saying, "Hey guys, I got owned." Like the message is really like literally he wrote, "I got pwned. Here are all the things that got compromised, guys." Like, and I was like, "You are an all-star. Thank you for being so open,
Honesty is the best
transparent,
policy.
right?" Like so much kudos. We all get fished. Everybody gets fished. With AI now happening, it's getting worse. It's just gonna happen. Own up to it, and he stopped the bleeding so quick. Imagine if he would have like tried to hide it and be like, I'm gonna try to like reset
Right.
the account first. I'm gonna try to do all this, and I'm gonna spend hours doing
Avoid the
something.
embarrassment.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any embarrassment. I think we all click on things. We all do
Yeah.
certain things. So why not just own up? And that allowed the whole community to react very quickly and minimize the damage very quick.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the importance of the community we operate in. I think we're more. It sounds cheesy, but we're stronger together, right? Like respond to these things, tackle them, knock them out. Everyone's better for it. I got fished. I got fished at work. The SecOps leader got me. He targeted me. He told me that after the fact. I did my training and I moved on. I owned up to it. I wasn't happy about it, but I did it.
I bet you were bragging. I bet you were telling him like, "You can't fish me. You can't fish me." And then
No,
he was like, "Oh, you're done. You're done."
no, it was. He told me we had a good laugh about this after the fact because he would get people all the time. But he got the directive from the boss people to go catch a bigger fish. So he went after me. And I was like, thanks for the compliment, man. Good job. Do it again.
Yeah, now you click nothing in your emails, right? You just do
Now I
select
just
all,
delete them all.
delete. I was gonna say select
Right.
all and delete.
I was on vacation 2 weeks ago. I came back to 400, 500 emails. I just delete. No, I read most of them. Don't worry. It's just yours
Right?
that I delete. I have a
Ah,
rule for
fair
you.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, it's because I'll Slack you once if you're not responding. I'll just be like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
that's it's effective.
it's a bit."
If people really need you, they find you.
Yeah, it's
Who
true. I
needs
mean,
email?
that is okay. Funny story. I mean, not a funny story, but back when I was like a junior dev, I was working with this engineer, and he had so much work, so many Jira tickets. Like his Jira board was just 100 plus tickets long, and I was just like, hey, I was like looking at your Jira tickets because he told me to take one, and I was like,
Just one.
yeah, just one. I mean, I was a noob, right? I was a complete programming noob. This is back in the day, back when a wee little Cameron, um, and I was like, why do you have so many tickets? And he's like, well, he's like, at my level, people just give me everything, but everybody's screaming. And he's like, so I just really listen to the person who's screaming the loudest. And he's like, that's how seniors work. And I was just like, what? That is the most crazy thing. But at the same time, I think when you get higher and higher up, you have everything is a fire. Like everything is a P1. And then somehow that P1 turns into like a P, like, nothing, right? Like a five. Nobody
Yeah.
cares about it anymore. And then the true P1s show up and the true fires come. But everything looks like a fire and everybody's, it's a fire from everybody's perspective, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's kind of a true
it
thing.
comes with the territory to some degree, but I'm just like thinking about you saying that and my experience of like the days where it's calm. I'm like, why is nothing happening? Everyone's just happy. And then of course, like wishful thinking, something starts on fire 3 minutes later. But it kind of does ring true as I've become more senior and moved into leadership is what we do becomes more about firefighting than it does about doing the day to day.
Yeah, which is
So
unfortunate, right?
yeah,
I mean, because I think you should be much more proactive than reactive. But so much times like I think we all go into it with a proactive mindset, but things have
can't
in the
do it
way.
all.
Yeah, like things get in the way,
Can't catch
and
it all. Well, I mean, to the same degree. I mean, that's why we're here. We're talking about what keeps us passionate about ProdSec. So it's not always just about the job. It's about what we do alongside it or because of it. And I mean, that's what our conversation is all about today. So maybe we should finally get into it.
I mean, before we get into that fun part, we have to talk about the coffee part. We've got the chaos,
Coffee.
we've got the security. I'm still doing the same stuff I did last week. I meant to go to H Mart and get some fun stuff, but I still have my Picard cup. But there's a
Caffeine.
splash of my wife made pumpkin spice flavoring, like syrup. And so now I have a pumpkin spice cold brew in a Picard cup.
Right. Well, I'm still sporting the Yeti here in I got a hot coffee this week and it's blue bottle beans. I got a coffee machine that grinds it and makes it for me. So beans from Blue Bottle are some of my favorite. So that's what's in the cup. A
Why
little
is
bit
it
of
the
cream.
aroma? Is it the flavor? Is it come through? Is it
It's
dark roast, light roast? Come on.
it's a medium roast and
All right.
it's super smooth. It's got good flavor. It doesn't punch you in the face. It doesn't get you lit. It doesn't make you feel like you're chewing on a burnt stick. It's right in that sweet spot. It stands on its own. Put a touch of cream in there to cool it down a little bit. It's great. No sugar, none of that. I like my coffee flavor.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, out here, whenever I go to the cafe every Sunday, and I got turned on to this. syrup that most people are like, no. And I was like, no, I didn't even think about it, but they recommended it when I first moved to Texas. Lavender coffee. So
I
lavender
remember you
syrups.
telling me about this.
Yeah. Delicious. Like, it helps bring down the bitter with some delicious lavender. I can't describe it. It's so good. Highly recommended if you can, if it's where you are, it's an offering, check it out. It's delicious.
Must be why you're always so calm. Isn't lavender a calming thing?
It is. It is.
I've got a bunch of lavender in my backyard. It's all kind of flamed out. The bees, I planted it because support the bees, man.
Yep.
So they all come and eat the pollen and the flowers are gone and doesn't smell nice anymore. So you chop it all down and it'll come back next year.
For the bees.
But
Got to do it for
trying
the
trying to
bees.
do my part for the bees, man.
That's fair. That's fair. Alrighty. Well, where do you kind of want to start?
I mean, let's talk about why we're passionate about ProdSec. We're here to talk about projects, the things that we like, maybe some of the things we hate, get us fired up, what grinds your gears. I'm game. How about you go first? Tell me what project you are most passionate about in ProdSec. The
I mean,
thinker.
I have a bunch of different projects, right? Obviously, but I'm part of an OWASP I'm a chapter leader for a project, the SPVS, the Secure Pipeline Verification Standard, which mimics the ASVS. So that's one. I host a meetup group, right? And when I finally move and go to my new location, I hope to rehost that one and maybe start another one up. So, but I don't know. I guess the most passionate part that I like really building, I mean, AppSec programs and programs in general that enable the key stakeholders. Because I feel like AppSec and security in general, a lot of the times is a friction organization, right? It's a lot of people view it as us versus them. I go on
Yeah.
Reddit all the time. I'm like always on Reddit, and I see all these dev or these AppSec engineers always saying like, the devs are so dumb, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I like to go and chime on those and be like, hey, were you ever a dev? And they're like, no, I worked on this and did sysadmin or something else, right? No knock on anybody, but just they don't come from a dev background
Yeah.
and they talk smack about devs. And I'm just like, you've never been a dev. Like, it is
Right.
hard work. Programming is hard.
Absolutely.
The day to day is hard. These are really smart people. And do you think they want to program insecurely? No, not at all. No, I've never met a dev who's like, no, I'm not going to do security, right? It's always I have competing priorities and I have other reasons, or I disagree based on XYZ approach. It's usually based in something. I mean, there's always a one percenter and there's always that one person who's like security's dumb, right? So we can get into that. But majority of devs I've met all appreciate security. And so I like to build my AppSec programs and be an enabler. That's one of my big passion project things is really being an enabler.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically our charge, right? Like I'm on the architecture side of things. I spend a lot of time with governance, risk, and compliance functions. I spending more and more time with SecOps these days. I'm kind of everywhere all at once, whether I'm drawing a diagram or working on threat models with people, or my team is working with these people and providing guidance to make sure that we build things securely. And if there's questions, there's a lot of gray areas in what we do, and it's about managing risk, not always fully eliminating it. It's hard and it's easy to get discouraged. And I mean, I basically got into ProdSec because I was a developer and I loved security, the aspects of it. And I came up through Department of Defense style work and focused on information assurance and whatever. I talked about that in the last episode a little bit. And that's ultimately, I like technology, I like products, and I like security as a function of all of it, most of all. So that's why I do it. And then I take all of that, and whether it's in my personal life, like I'm not on an OWASP project like you are, but take my home network as an example. I run like an enterprise grade network. I have full visibility. I have a firewall that I can access anywhere in the world. I can VPN into my house and control it or see the cameras or whatever's going on. It's when we moved into our new house, it was like, I'm going to get all this IoT. I'm going to set up the network so it's secure, segmented. Nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out. And now sometimes I just check it out and be like, what's going on right now? It's fun. But now I'm like, what's my next project? I'm actively trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah. Do you think you would start something in cybersecurity, something that you would get back in any way?
Oh, so it's a tough question. I think about this all the time. Like, I really like talking about security, obviously, which is why we're here. I like connecting with other professionals. I even like talking to the vendors. Call me crazy. I like spending time with the vendors and picking apart their technology, getting to know it, learn it, whatever.
Well, give
So
feedback, right? Like, like a lot
right,
of
I
people
want
don't
to.
give that good feedback for a developer to actually take good actions against to improve.
Well, and it's not even about just ProdSec entirely. It's about technology projects or products, I should say. Um, I I wanted to be a product manager at some point because I just like building things that much. And if I'm going to work with a vendor and I don't like part of their product, I'm absolutely going to give them feedback to say, how do we make it better? It's not just for me. It could affect everyone positively. It might impact their business in a positive way. I like the business aspects of things too. It's interesting. It's different. It's not what I studied. It's not what I wanted to do, but I found I enjoy it over time. So it's I don't know. Security has a weird way of introducing you to all kinds of different things. And if I were to do something to try and give back, it would be kind of following your footsteps a little bit, whether I can get involved in an OWASP project. I'm becoming more and more active in the community around here. And who knows, in the future, maybe I'll start my own thing and kind of do security consulting and build something for the world.
All right, I'm back.
Uh-oh.
I know, right? First technical difficulty on the podcast. My webcam went
Camera just
down.
went out.
Yeah, it went down. I saw it froze, and then the camera just stopped, and then it switched over to Elgato, and then
Now we all
everything
know
reboot.
what kind of camera you have.
Yeah, my bad.
I was looking at you like, is he just not going to react? Did I turn him to stone? I bored him so much with that
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, totally.
little Medusa action.
Yeah, right. I mean, I totally, yeah, I totally get it. I think a lot of people, especially leaders, they become passionate builders because you kind of have to, right? We're always challenged with um, a small budget, a small team, and you've got to be creative in how you build your programs and be a builder, right? Build automation and automate because that's the only way you're actually going to be successful. Build processes, automations, intake flows, all the different XYZs so that your team can focus and actually be more proactive than reactive, right? Rather than being
Yep.
underwater in that reactive state. So I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the proactive versus reactive is one of the hardest things in what we do. At least I've found in my career, in that you usually start in a reactive state. You're immature. You don't have processes set up. You don't have all the technologies you need in place. You're not well integrated with teams and being an enabler. So you're seen as that sort of resistance. And you've got to build that relationship with people. You've got to bring in the right technologies and avoid kind of tool fatigue for one. Like, there is such thing as too much technology. Bring in the right people, build the right processes, and then you get to a steady state where you're like, wow, I don't have to react to fire all the time. I can actually keep building more and more. And just now we start talking about the cool stuff.
No. Now, I wanted to challenge you and ask you, because I have one in my
Uh-oh.
mind, but if you are getting into and want to get into like ProdSec, what is something that's like a passion project that somebody could do at home, relatively cheap, that would make them stand out?
Wow. That I
Do you want me
wish
to
I
go
would have
first?
known that one was coming.
I
Yeah, I
know.
need to think
I can
about
go
that
first
one.
on that one.
Yeah, let's do that. Give me time to think now. You're coming
For
at me with
me,
hard questions.
I know, right? Is to build a software pipeline, right? That is something that you can do relatively easy. It doesn't have, you don't have to go crazy about this, right? You could essentially build a script or write a script, or even, ChatGPT a script. You don't even have to write the script, but set it up, push it into GitHub. When it goes into GitHub, set it up so that a GitHub action runs, and that action, or you can put it into Jenkins, right? Jenkins is free, so you can run it locally. So when it commits, it triggers, Jenkins grabs it, Jenkins runs, Sneak, because Sneak's open source, or SemGrep. Both those are open source SaaS tools. Run that against that, see the vulnerabilities that come in. If it passes, it goes through, and then it reports back that it can merge. But build something like that, like a little software loop, and that is a great passion project that a student or somebody who's looking to get in could do, because it shows that you're passionate, the technologies, you're using modern tooling. Sync and SemGrep are major players, both have open source solutions. So even if you want to use OpenGrep, I have some opinions on OpenGrep. We'll get around that someday.
One
But
day.
yeah, one day. But I think that's, one of the big things I look, besides, being a hacker, right? Everybody wants to be a
Yeah.
hacker, and everyone's on like, I'm on Hack the Box. Here's my Hack the Box profile. I'm guilty of that too. So I used to do so much Hack the Box. I miss it. Definitely miss the Hack the Box. I
Yeah,
can't
I'll
wait
get back to it.
in like what, in like 2 months, because it's October, so, or next month's October and November. Yeah, so 2 or 3 months. The Advent calendar comes out for Try Hack Me,
Nice.
so, which is always a fun time. So I can't wait to get back into that. I always enjoy the silly
Yeah.
Christmas stories they do with hacking.
Yeah, I think the there's a few things there, and it's also interesting when we talk about this. You can start drawing the parallels to what we do in our daily lives and what our disciplines are, because like building pipelines marries up to your OAuth project very well, or what you and your team do getting integrated into pipelines. And in my world, I like to see when people build things and then attack them or pick them apart and say, how is this broken, or what can I do better? And so if they tell me about a time that they built their own tool or service or whatever, deployed it in the cloud, and kind of dove into it. Or another one I like to see, aside from like the red teaming sort of try hack me or hack the box activity, is there's like, I can't think of a name of it, but there's all these applications you can find out there that are purposely vulnerable,
Yeah,
whether it's
like Juice
running on like a
Shop,
web server. Yeah, or it could
OAuth Juice
be
Shop.
containerized like we did. I think we did a containerized one when we were testing an API security solution a year and a half or 2 years ago, and it was interesting. So when people actually kind of they take open source tools and they go scan those and try to understand what these sorts of vulnerabilities are in the wild and how you might fix them, not just from an application perspective, but how can you mitigate those with your infrastructure or build defense in depth sort of methodologies to help mitigate some of those things? Because 0 days are very real. And when they occur, you can't always patch your software immediately. So how can you address them quickly and contain it, and at least protect yourself in the interim while you get the actual fix in place?
Yeah.
I've,
Yeah.
I've seen resumes with something like that before, and it's that just dominates the conversation. I'm like, I want to go deeper. Let's talk more. Like, I want to work with you.
That's fair. Yeah, especially when the passion comes through, right? I think the underlying message, if I could give anybody who's trying to get into it or just wants to understand more, like being passionate about what you're trying to do and taking the time to build other projects, deep dive things, and then let that passion run wild in the conversation is so important. So I don't know. I try to bleed passion because I love what I do, and I love doing all the different stuff and learning all the different stuff. Like my team, I always tell them I'm a big nerd. And so I'll write these crazy big wikis or deep dive a billion different articles. And I'm always posting about, like, did you guys read this article? Have you read this? Here's this. So constantly, literally constantly.
No, I see it all the time. Like, Cameron, how did you find time to do that? Like, great article or great post, whatever. Some of the stuff I've seen you doing recently at work with like even AI is super interesting, because I know you're deeper on the topic than I at this point. I can learn from a peer in a very powerful way, because I can tap into your expertise and insights faster than the million things that are available to me on the internet. And I mean, just echoing what you just said, just bringing the passion. I mean, seeing someone talk about something so passionately, like they have the drive, they have the energy, they truly love what they do, is highly impactful. when you lose that passion, and there are different areas within security that we're not as passionate about, and you can tell just by the way we talk or the words we use. And you're less motivated. It's harder to invest time in something that you don't care as much about. Yeah.
True, true. Now, I was listening to this other podcast, and they were describing something about like, which kind of really resonated with me, and I think it's really a good thing to bring up right now, which is the completion of passion projects. Because it's really easy to start something, right? It's really easy to spend a couple hours doing something, but to actually bring it full circle and complete that project, I think is the hardest part. And the people who, when I'm interviewing or talking to or anything like that, the people who finish the project or at least get it 90%, like the conversation is so much better and they learn so much more because I think everybody's a good self starter for that first like 5 hours. And then after that, it becomes really hard to perpetuate that kind of motivation and actually bring it to completion when completion is like the hardest part of any passion project or anything you're working on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm thinking right now, like, how many projects have I started and not finished? And then you're like, oh, I should go back and finish that. And then you start again, you're like, yeah, it's kind of a drag. You're like, there's a reason I kind of gave up on this and went on to something else or finished something else because it the passion wasn't there. And I don't have a lot of specific examples in the security space because I mean the goal in everything we do is finish the project that we start. Right now, one of the sort of hot topics for me recently, and this isn't just because of AI, is identity. Historically, if you ask me over the past 15 years that I've been in the workforce, how I felt about identity, I hated it. It's boring.
What
It's
it, what,
foundational.
can you define like what identity means like in
Like
that
identity and
context?
access management, the whole category, whether it's tools or it's people, it's how a person is represented on a machine, or it's your username and password with MFA or passwordless authentication or whatever. And then there's all these things that branch off of it, like zero trust and the not machine identities or non-human identities, so that the machines can act on your behalf. And you can see as I keep talking about it, how AI plays into this is we're going to create machines that can do things autonomously. Well, how do you protect them? They have to have permissions. They have to have an identity so that you know who is doing what. And if it goes off the rails, you know who the problem is. Because if I give an AI agent my identity, that's going to create a whole
Your
different
access. Yeah, and then he
my
goes and deletes
access.
your
And
entire database or something.
yeah, it looks like I did it maliciously and I'm going to lose my job. Or it's going to paint a very, if someone, like, think about it, if your identity gets hijacked and applied to something like that and you look like the malicious user, you could use that for bad things. Like, law enforcement is very real in what we do. If someone steals my identity and goes and does something illegal, they're not going to go looking for that guy, they're going to come looking for me.
True.
And so I've really amped up on identity and trying to understand it better, build more expertise. I keep in touch with one of my friends is an identity guy, and he knows things like backwards, forwards, upside down. He just knows everything there is to know about identity. And every time I talk to the guy, I'm like, I have no idea what you just said to me, so I have to go learn that. Yeah.
Can you send me like an article? Can you do like a write up? Send me
Yeah.
something so I can learn that.
And again, it comes down to the passion. Like, there, for a while there, it was kind of like the identity people in security or engineering were kind of like a dying breed. But I think we're starting to see more and more of them again. And they're really interesting to talk to and get their perspectives on things as identities kind of explode in the world and technology is absolutely everywhere. I mean, there's more machines than people. No. So it's become a new thing for me where I'm gaining the passion and trying to gear up to do a big project even in my professional life around it right now.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's becoming more and more important about AI. And I know that you at least I think one of your grind your gears sections was around AI. I don't know if that's a perfect pivot to jump into that, because identity and AI, I think, really are going more and more and more, hand in hand.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that grind my gears in this space, and you're making them grind right now. You can see the way I'm kind of fidgeting. Um, with respect to identity, I hate when people say like identity is the new attack surface. Like it's not. It's the original one. Let's get that straight. Like identity came first.
What does that
So
mean? Look, when someone says that, like, what does that mean?
is what are people attacking? Like, you know how perimeters used to be a thing. You have this network perimeter, and everything inside that box is the
My egg.
enterprise. Yeah, you have this border, and you're like, that's the attack surface because they only have certain points that traffic goes in and out, and so that's where attackers are focused. Right, that's gone. So software is everywhere now. You're not on VPN anymore. You're not inside four walls of a data center. You're everywhere. You're in the cloud. You're in a data center. You're at home. You're on the VPN, you're everywhere. So now that the network borders and perimeters are gone, well, what's the attack surface? It's all your applications, it's your identities. Well, phishing, compromising identity, that's the new attack surface. It's not. You've been doing it for years and years and years. So stop saying that.
Mhm.
And then with respect to AI, like everyone's just going AI crazy and thinking we got to spin this stuff up and use it for everything. No, you don't. Use it practically. Like if you use AI for everything, you're generating more problems than you're solving. So be strategic in how you do it, solve real problems and focus on those things because you're going to get more satisfaction out of automating all of that mundane stuff away so you can focus on the cool stuff that you're passionate about.
Yeah, but can I use AI to like automate my, boring stuff?
To a point, I mean, if you want to get into AI and what really grinds my gears, it's all this MCP server business. Like MCP servers have exploded in use, and everyone's like, we got to just fire them up and need 50 of them. Like, why? These are the things that create risk because now you're allowing machines access to all your stuff. And this is where data exfiltration happens. And guess what? It's going to happen without you knowing and automatically. And then 3 months down the line, you realize you're popped and you're on the front page and your business ceases to exist. I'm not about that. So, no, you can't just spin them up as you please. You got to be smart about how you do it. You and I have been talking a lot about this in the past couple of days, and it will be putting some guidance together here in the near future. But it's no, use AI responsibly. I know I hate the term when people say like responsible AI or whatever it is. Like you're supposed to be responsible in how you use technology always.
No.
So AI is no different. It's like when the cloud exploded, everyone went crazy and used it everywhere, and people are getting popped left and right because they didn't quite understand it or secure it
S
correctly. Like
buckets, everywhere.
right. S3 buckets, just take my data, have fun. And it's like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to turn off public access. Now
APIs.
AWS, they do it, they disable it by default now. So they
No.
saved you. But yeah, it's we're reliving the launch of the cloud all over again. We're calling it AI. It's cool, it's great, it's really interesting technology, but it really does grind my gears the way that people want to go nuts with it lately.
Hmm. That makes sense. Makes sense. I could see, I don't know. I could see the frustration.
Yeah. You got lavender in that coffee. You're so calm, and I'm over here just like fired up and ready to go.
I know it's just been a crazy day. I'm wiped, man. I'm wiped. But I mean, if I had to pick something that like kind of grinds my gears, at least that comes top of mind, and this is like an old school thing that I was dealing with many, many years ago, is like agents. The agent proliferation of everything drives me crazy. And by agents, what I'm saying is that every tool these days requires you to install an agent. And so then you turn on your server, and your server has 37 agents on it, right? You got to have an
Yeah.
agent for logging, for antivirus, for monitoring, for security stuff, for 10 different security things. And then every one of these agents are always, I feel, built so atrociously. It's a hard claim, but it's just But it's very frustrating. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when I was deploying um, one of our EDR tools. I won't say the name, but they constantly kept losing access, literally constantly. And I would just be like, why? Or they won't update, right? And they won't update. And then you have to find that agent. You have to somehow connect to it and install it and update it. And then it doesn't work. And then you have to get cloud ops or, somebody to get on there to get to reset the system. And you can't reset it because of XYZ reasons. And then, 3 days later, that one's now consuming 100% of the bandwidth. It's like, how do you not have some kind of programmatic? And I'm assuming they do. I'm assuming they do, But it drives me crazy. Drives me crazy that there's so much agent so many agents, and they're everywhere, and you have to install them all, and you need them all, and it takes so many people to debug these issues, and everything's so nuanced, and every time it's like anytime you run into an issue, the vendor's like, I've never seen this. I've never seen this problem before. And I'm like, how? You're like you have like thousands of customers and this is installed on tens of thousands, millions of systems. I'm that unique. I guess I feel really special. I guess I feel really
Yeah, that's
special there.
that's the modern, or that's the vendor equivalent of it works on my machine, man.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, like the dog ate my homework. It's like it programmed or it compiled on my system. You must have a
Yeah, it
weird. Your
didn't
system
eat.
must be weird.
Yeah, it didn't use 100% of the CPU for 3 hours on my machine, so it must be fine, right? Like, I, I mean, to be fair, there are vendors out there that build these things intelligently where it's like, oh, I'm consuming too much memory or CPU, and it kind of like it finds a way to reset itself or restart, or they schedule a job that's monitoring that agent to say like, oh, you're out of line, start over, and then it just does the whole thing over again, and they're like, but it works on my machine. It grinds
That's
my gears too. I deal with this occasionally with some of our tools in the cloud. And it's just like, why is this happening? It's supposed to use like 3%, not 80% of the CPU.
true.
So how do we fix it? Here's my log file. And it's just, I could go on for another 10 minutes about that.
Yeah, it is one of the most painful things because in terms of like passion, that's not the real passion. Debugging and why an agent is not working is just that's not fun, right? That's not a
No.
good time. It's not something you should it should just work. But then the agentless technologies out there, right? The ones you don't have, they have their own limitations and their own issues.
Yep.
So I mean, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, and you kind of have to just accept that one way or another you're going to be dealing with something.
Yeah. I think it's for, I'm just thinking back now over the years as an architect of, I've been on teams where it's like, no agents. We don't want agents anywhere. We want to do everything agentlessly. And then it's like, well, you have to be selective about your agents because there's certain things you're going to want to, like your logging, for instance. You got to pull those into the sim and be monitoring it. So you're stuck with it. Now there are ways to kind of send logs onward, but you're going to find an agent somewhere. Um, and then I've kind of seen it all come flying back, like agents for everything, which is where we're at now. Just go deploy this agent, that agent. There's a DLP agent, there's a runtime agent, there's EDR, XDR, there's a logging agent. I can't even name all the agents. Sometimes like you'll have an API security agent. How many tools do you want to buy?
All of them.
I need a system. I need an
Uh,
agent for my agent, man.
Yeah. I mean, you said that earlier. When you deploy your agent, they have an agent that monitors that agent, so it could
Yeah,
restart that agent. But what if that agent? So we need an agent that has an agent
it's
of
like
an agent
chain
of
it.
an agent of an agent.
Just never ends, dude. It's like the attack chains you see in like open source dependencies. This is something we were talking about yesterday a little bit. And I was like, the statistic you posted on that, I was like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, open source is again, it's been a well-known fact that open source is used and is prolific, right? And attackers are just focusing more and more and more on that, right? We keep hearing about it. Log4j was like just a tipping point. And the scary thing around that is how many of these successful attack vectors have happened that we haven't heard of, right?
Yeah.
Like the X utils or XN or whatever
XZ
XZ
utils.
utils one. That guy slow and steady for like years. He contributed, was helpful. XYZ, right? Extremely nice, helpful, productive. One day flips, right? That kind of
All it
long term
takes.
attack. How many other projects did he create? He maybe has a bunch of different. He's contributed under different names, and the only one, that one was caught. But how many of the other ones? It's an interesting and scary thing because his was very subtle and it was caught. I wouldn't say by mistake, but it kind of was a fluke. The person who found out about it, there's just not that many people, especially on all these other projects. So, and a lot of people think that there's this, I guess what other grinds my gears is that there's this notion that if it's open source or your code is publicly posted or something, that there's security fairies out there that are just going through all this open source code and just finding all the vulnerabilities and finding all the problems. And, that's not a true thing. Not a lot of people do that, right? And then there's really easy ways to, obfuscate these things. If you go look at the thing that just happened this week where the guy got owned, the code that got inserted was extremely obfuscated. It was a bunch of just hexadecimal and registry things and,
Yeah.
reference to a reference with like long, base 64 stuff. Like you have to tear that apart to understand what's happening there. So you can really make these things hidden in a pretty decent way. And sometimes all it takes is just one liner, or literally a one liner to call like a wget
Yep.
to download the malware, right? And boom, it's installed. So um, open source is a scary thing.
Yeah. But I mean,
Useful,
it's
but scary.
also open source is also right in line with what we're talking about is it's a lot of people's passion project.
Yep. I
Open
mean, it's all where it
source
starts, right?
isn't right. Yeah, people are doing this not because they're getting paid for it, but because they want to be helpful and they enjoy building these things and contributing to useful tools for the world. So it's not something I've done a whole lot of because my developer days are kind of behind me at this point. I just still dabble. I still don't vibe code. Don't get me started there. Uh,
It's the way of the
I've
future, dude.
refused.
We're not gonna have
I've
no one's gonna
refused to
code
do it.
anymore. All right, there's gonna be no more engineers. Don't you understand? Everyone's just gonna vibe code their way to their MVP and to their $1 million.
Can hear the gears grinding right now, Cam.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I can
Um,
see 'em. I can almost see them.
So, I mean, in terms of passion projects, how do you manage burnout? Right? I think that is a big thing, right? We're telling people that to get into ProdSec or just to do things as a passion, but how do you manage that, right? All of us have families, we have relationships, we have pets, we have other hobbies. Like, how do we manage that burnout and
Yeah.
but still show the passion?
Yeah, I think even like if you go look at the cybersecurity subreddit, like people are always talking about burnout. Burnout is very real in this industry, whether you're in it professionally or as a hobby. It's hard because security is a 24-hour operation. Um, there's attackers around the world. There are botnets. There's automated attacks happening every second of every day. And so you're kind of always on, and we're programmed to be that way. So you burn out without even realizing it. Like I've faced this problem fairly recently and multiple times in the past few years, in that you kind of feel like, well, I got to take it all on. I got to see it through. I got to get it done. And then your patience gets shorter. You don't enjoy your time away as much. Like you don't enjoy doing the work as much. And so like, what do? Everyone has their own way of unwinding. Me, I'll just take time off, hang out with my family, or go somewhere, do something fun, or cook food. I like to cook. Imagine that. Like coffee. I like good drinks. I like good company. So my way of unwinding is surround myself with the people I like spending the most time with and just shoot the breeze. Whether it's you and I chatting about security still, like I'm more relaxed in a setting like this versus when I've got to be on and an incident's happening and we all are under pressure and stressed out. And so you have to actively, well, proactively plan that time, because if you're just go all the time, it's not sustainable. I don't care how much energy you have, whether you're younger, older, whatever. Like you will burn out.
Yeah.
And like, it's for me, like exercising too is another thing I have to do because it helps de-stress and ultimately like burn off that extra energy, get rid of the negative and build the positive sort of thing.
Yeah. So, taking care of yourself, really. I can
Absolutely.
totally resonate with that. Yeah.
It's, I mean, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be here to continue on. And frankly, I want to be. So I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I have a young daughter. Playing Legos with her is also another way I unwind. Or now I'm becoming an artist. She sits there and tells me how to color the picture instead of coloring herself. She's the boss.
Yeah, she's already practicing her boss skills.
That's right. Future leader right there.
That's great.
It's fun. So that helps me take the edge off and kind of just chill out and then come back to it refreshed.
Okay. Okay. So we're approaching the end. Is there any last comments, anything you kind of want to bring up? Anything passionate about our passion projects, anything we discussed?
I'm drawing a blank, man. Like you asked me all these hard questions. My brain is tired.
Uh,
So
you need to go practice some of that, burnout, health.
yeah, I've got meat in the smoker. We're doing pulled pork for dinner. So see, I've got the plan. I'm doing it proactively.
There you go.
But I could spin it right back on you. How would you close it out? You're not burnt out. You're calm. You're cool. You're always collected.
Always collected. Yeah, I think find the things that you're really interested about, do those projects, make sure you take them from end to end, but manage and watch and listen to yourself. Make sure you're listening to your energy levels, your burnout, and make sure you don't burn out, right? And sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not, but have your tools to be successful, your tools to manage that. Beyond that, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different things, and I think that's kind of it. Yeah.
No, I think as you spoke, I thought of something to answer your question. And for me, this works for me at least. It may not work for others, but try it on for size. I mean, talk to people. People in the industry bring different perspectives. They have different skills. They talk about things in different ways. And you never know where those conversations are going to take you. For me personally, talking to you, talking to other people at work, talking to friends, others in the industry, um, that's part of how I explore and how I've found some of my passion projects in the end. So it's the networking aspect of things is hugely valuable.
Mm. Makes sense. All right, Kurt, take us out.
Take us out. Well, that's it for our passion project confessions, man. Like I'm almost out of coffee. It looks like Captain over here is
I
too.
finished it. Yeah,
So
finished it. I'm
wow,
out.
look at you.
I'm out.
Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Coffee, chaos, ProdSec, passion projects. Find what you're passionate about. And we'll catch you next time. Bring your caffeine. Subscribe if you enjoyed listening to us. And we'll see you next time for more ProdSec adventures.